Om. Okay, we shall continue Sugama. Bhamatikara's view of Adhyasa we were discussing, and the Siddhanti's reply to it. So, Vyavaharika Drishtya, from the empirical standpoint, accepting as what is that, samskara of Adhyasa is okay. Because from the Vyavaharik standpoint, that is Sushupti looked at from the waking standpoint. That means from the waking standpoint, people think that the waking world is dissolving into deep sleep and again coming out. So here the waking world is taken for granted, waking state is taken for granted as it is, tentatively disappears, gets suspended during deep sleep and again to arise. So when the thought of waking state is already there and look at deep sleep, so you are not looking at a deep sleep from the deep sleep. If you look at the deep sleep Sushupti from Sushupti, world doesn't exist at all. The waking state doesn't exist at all. But if you look from the waking state, Jagrata Avastha, what happens? Jagrata Avastha tentatively gets suspended and comes back. This is what appears for us. Therefore, from this standpoint, this is called Vyavaharik, empirical standpoint, Vyavaharika Drishti. From this Vyavaharika Drishti, Shruti accepts that yes, world disappears tentatively. When it disappears, it remains in some potential form. Why? Do you experience it in deep sleep? We don't experience it. But then why do you imagine? Why do you assume that it is present in Sushupti and it comes back in waking? Because the simple reason, we see the waking state, waking world appearing again in the waking, and what has totally disappeared cannot arise. What is totally wiped out cannot arise again. Since it is arising again, it must have been existing. See, it is an imagination from the waking state. It is an assumption from the waking state that it must have been existent in some form, invisible, unknown form, and that is called Avyakta. That is called Bija. So the presence of Bija in deep sleep is seen from the waking standpoint. So this is okay. But one thing is clear, in the deep sleep it is not experienced. The world of duality, the world of name and form, time, place, the entire waking state is not experienced. But since it rises again, therefore imagined that, assume that something must have been there in a seed form, in a potential form. That's what he is telling here, Siddhanti. This Bhashyakara's Vakya, Bijankuradivat, Vyavaharika Drishtya can be accepted. But not from the Paramarthika Drishtya. Paramarthika means what? In the really real sense. In the real standpoint, that is from the deep sleep standpoint, neither the waking state has existed separate, nor it tentatively dissolves, nor it rises again. See, all this is Adhyastha. That the world existed separate, that the waking state is a separate from deep sleep, this is one. That it got dissolved in the Sushupti for a while, and again it comes back. All this is Adhyastha. Adhyastha means a wrong thinking, a misunderstanding. Okay, this is misunderstanding. Therefore, all this is adhyasa. That means the avyakta, remaining avyakta, invisible potential in deep sleep, and rising again in waking state, appearing in the waking state, tentatively disappearing in deep sleep, all this is again rising, all this is adhyasa. Therefore, in the total adhyasa, when you take the entire thing as adhyasa, even the avyakta, tentative suspension, or going into potential state or a seed state, the seed state and the world state both are within adhyasa. This is the main prakriya. So therefore, the tentatively avyakta remaining unmanifest in deep sleep is not outside adhyasa. See, their misunderstanding is they take waking state alone is adhyasa and the deep sleep is not. Deep sleep taken as a state. Two things are there. Deep sleep seen as the state, as deep sleep, is non-dual. It is not a state. Okay? It is directly self-evident, self-existing, non-dual nature. Deep sleep as it is experienced is non-dual nature. But if it is taken as a state, state means what? It can be compared with other states. There is a waking, deep and deep sleep. Similar, therefore, it is one among the three. When you think of one among the three, then it is a state. Okay? If you see deep sleep as one among the three, Atma is found in these three states, in a waking, dream, and also in another form. There he swallows the world tentatively so that he can project the world again, manifest the world again. So if this way, if you look at deep sleep, then deep sleep is a state. Okay. But that avyakta or a state, deep sleep taken as an avyakta or as a state, that deep sleep and the waking and the dream all together is adhyasta. Entire thing is adhyasta, is a misunderstanding upon the non-dual, self-existing Brahman. Therefore, from the Vyavaharik standpoint, Bijavastha can be accepted. But in Paramarthik standpoint, no Bija is possible. This is what is the Siddhanti's explanation. Okay, let us proceed. Therefore, nothing remains outside Adhyasa. Even the Avyaktam has to be included within the misunderstanding. If Avyaktam of the world, called Maya or Avyaktam of the world has to be included within the error. Because in Brahman, neither Vyaktam nor Avyaktam, neither the visible world nor a suspended world, invisible, suspended in the seed form, neither of them is a reality in the Atman. Both of them are only Vyaktam and Avyaktam, are only misunderstanding of the Atman, non-dual Atman. Therefore, from the Paramarthika Drishti, everything is a misunderstanding and nothing is outside a misunderstanding. Okay, now we proceed. Now, up to this this is the summary of our previous talks. Now the present day, na chaivam shankyam adhyasta tat samskarascha ityubhavapi adhyastaveva tat samskar. Now Purvapakshi says, yes, we also accept both are adhyasa. See, they say the Vyakta Prapancha, the Avyakta Prapancha. Avyakta in deep sleep and Vyakta in waking. Vyakta is waking only. These both are within Adhyasa. We also accept. See, the Purvapakshi says. He accepts, but he interprets Adhyasa in his own way. In spite of accepting it as Adhyasa, still it is outside Adhyasa. See how he explains. Yes, we also accept, but Adhyasa tat samskarascha ubhavapi adhyastavyeva. He says Adhyasa and its samskara. samskara is something outside adhyasa. He says both these are within adhyasa. See, he accepts adhyasa, but again within adhyasa he makes adhyasa and samskara. This again comes back to the same point. He says how do you say samskara of adhyasa is also adhyasa? You know how he explains? He has got a very strange explanation. Samskara is of previous adhyasa, therefore this also samskara too can be considered as adhyasta. See the logic, strange logic. Adhyasa tat samskara, samskarasya purvadhyasa karyatvat, Purvapakshi continues, and tad uttara adhyasasya cha adhyasa samskara janyatvat. See, previous adhyasa is born of previous samskara, is born of previous adhyasa, and this present adhyasa is going to produce samskara. That means samskaras are born of adhyasa only. Therefore, in our view, even in our view, samskara is also adhyasta. For this, Siddhanta replies no. You are talking of outside adhyasa and only claim that we have accepted it. There is a contradiction. He is unable to see, or he doesn't want to see his mistake. Therefore, I've seen the people when they boldly assert something. If you point out the mistake, what we point out, they distort. They distort. There was one liar. I don't know, he stopped coming after this statement. Earlier he would make very big statement. I just listen. When I speak very rudely. But when somebody says, I patiently listen. Hours together I listen. Then I thought he wants to say something. Okay, let him say and go away, I thought. After telling everything, when I have listened to him patiently, he got a hope that I will ratify. I shall ratify his views, substantiate, confirm his views. He asked again. I just ignored because he will be hurt unnecessarily. Why? I just ignored it. Again he insisted. Then I told, what you say is wrong. I bluntly told. He felt it. See, you know how he takes it? He is a clever liar. After he told, then I understood how liars argue. I didn't know that. First time I saw. Liars, when they talk to us, they talk like a common man, so they don't show their liars, that argumentative capacity, they don't show. Generally, they talk like any other normal human being. Some people, I see two types of people. Some people, whatever is their professional nature, that they show everywhere. With anybody, they talk in the same way. But some people, when they speak in the court, they speak like liars. When they come out, they speak like normal human being. You would not even recognize that he is a liar. See, you won't even recognize. He just talks like normal human being alone. Normal like us, common man. Not so logical, not so thorough, not argumentative. He simply talks. Some people have the two personalities. With common people, they just behave like common people. But once you go to the court, then they show their that argumentative capacity. Okay, the thoroughly logical words. Each statement comes logically. But some people, wherever they are, they look like liars alone. Even in normal life, they speak like liars. That's because they can't change, they can't control their nature. Okay, so this liar, so normally he spoke about some shraddha and some such thing, some karma, all that I discussed. Then again and again he told something. I don't want to say the topic, but just I told, it is wrong what you are telling. It's like this. Then you know what he says that. It's okay, Swamiji, I understood. Partly that side, partly this side. It is not clear you are telling. I see how he interprets. Even when we point out what he said is totally wrong, he takes it. He is not totally rejecting and artha madkollalla. He doesn't take it. Though I have rejected it completely. He says, oh yes, I I'm little in doldrum, sometimes that, sometimes this I have accepted. Point is not clear, you are trying to say, that's one. See, even after we say very clearly, he reinterprets our own statement and takes it in different sense, then he answers. Oh my God. Then I understood, oh, that's why it goes on. In the debate, lawyers debate, it goes on endlessly because he doesn't accept, even if he finds faults with you, he doesn't accept it. He will take it in his own way and he will present as if we have accepted his statement. His view we have accepted, as if we have accepted, he takes it and presents it that way. Again we have to say, see, don't take it that way, I have not accepted, I have rejected you completely. We have to tell them specifically. Very cleverly they talk. So here, we told everything is adhyastha. Purvapakshi says, that is Bhamatikara, yes, we also accept everything is adhyasya. Therefore, we and you and I are one. We are talking the same thing. He tries to take us on his side. Okay? He tries to take us on his side, and he thinks and he tries to present that we are supporting his wrong view by our criticism. Abba, even in criticism, cleverly uses it as if we have defended his view. Though we have dismissed his view, but he interprets as if I have accepted his view. Ah, what clever, you see how clever are the lawyers. That's why these kind of discussions go on, which we are not capable. They are capable. I told again, no in the health. No, that's all. Thereafter he never came again. Never came again. Because he found that I am unyielding. I can't accept what he said. So here Purvapakshi says, yes, we also accept samskara is adhyastha. See, because that samskaras are of previous adhyasa, therefore that is also adhyastha. See how the argument you see. He says we also accept adhyasa of samskara is also adhyastha. First he says he is also accepting equal to us. Okay? How he tries to patch up, cover up the mistake. He cover ups his mistake, telling that, no, yes, we also accept samskara as adhyastha. How? Tell me how? When you tell that samskara is outside adhyasa, how do you try to bluff me right in front of me that you also accepted adhyasa, samskara is adhyastha? No, you know what the answer is? Samskara is of previous adhyasa and it is a later adhyasa. So therefore, samskara is also adhyastha. Oh, see, quietly. That means if samskara, the very thought of calling samskara of adhyasa itself shows it is other than adhyasa. Why trying to bluff? By cleverly arguing. Say simply, once you say, see, he presents differently. When you criticize it, the same idea he presents differently and says that we have accepted. Though we have rejected, he claims that we have accepted him. This is more difficult about to talk to such people. We expect that person is very sincere. Okay. The Vedanta thinks that just as he is sincere, the other one is also sincere. But he is cleverly manipulating your rejection. Also he manipulates and interprets that you have accepted him. Very, very difficult to talk to liars. He cleverly, right in front of you, slightly manipulates. I've told, I reject it, it's not right. No, how you interpret? Yeah, Swamiji, I have understood. See, he tells me he interprets what I told. Sometimes this side, sometimes this side. You are wavering and not fix this thing. I told you are not wavering. I didn't say that. You are wavering, I didn't say that. I say you are wrong, that's all directly. You don't interpret it and take me as a support of you. Cleverly making a rejection as a support is a manipulation. Okay. Now Purvapakshi says, samskara is of previous adhyasa, therefore we have accepted adhyasa. No, it doesn't work. Siddhanti says it doesn't work. When you say it is a samskara of adhyasa, samskara arises only after the adhyasa ends. Adhyasa ends, then the samskara begins. Therefore, if you accept that way, samskara is something separate from adhyasa, samskara is of adhyasa, then it only implies that samskara is something other than adhyasa. So it is outside adhyasa, it is anadhyasta, not superimposed alone the meaning. You can't distort it. Even if you distort, it will catch you. You are very clever lawyer, no doubt, but we are also clever in Vedanta and we catch you. Vedantins are also clever. Therefore he says, Tathapi Purvottara Kalayo. See, there is a previous adhyasa and anantara samskara and then antara adhyasa. One mistake is there is a time series. You are accepting adhyasa and samskara occurring in a time series. That means you are presenting not only samskara is outside adhyasa, even the time is outside adhyasa. Like this we keep start pointing out. Okay. Tathapi purvottara kalayor adhyasayoriva swikaryatvat. That means adhyasa is occurring within time. It is sadi. It comes and ends and prapancha continues. This is their mistake, biggest mistake. They missed it. That's why Vedanta should be listened with a pure mind, relaxed mind, not any prejudiced mind. Totally free from prejudice. Then only you can understand the truth. Okay. Purvottara kalayorapi adhyastayoreva swikaryatvat. See, previous adhyasa, later adhyasa, all this is a part of adhyasa only. Tad adhyasartham purvakalantaram kalpanaya. Therefore, before adhyasa, this you can't entertain a thought of before adhyasa. Because the very thought of before adhyasa doesn't exist. That means it is outside adhyasa. Outside adhyasa is impossible to imagine and nobody has experienced it. Okay. Purva kalantara kalpana ayoga, it can't be accepted. That means you are putting samskara is outside adhyasa is very clear. Now, nahi vastavam janyatvam janakatvam va anubhavan adhyaso nama bhavati. This is important, most important statement of Swamiji. If an adhyasa is experienced as a product, as produced, okay? If adhyasa is understood, is seen as beginning and ending, then you don't understand what is adhyasa, that's all. If you think that adhyasa has got a beginning and an end, then you have not understood what is adhyasa. It is a mistake, biggest mistake. ಪೆನ್ನೇ ಬರೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು? Okay, let me try another time. Nahi vastavam. This is a good quotation, good statement of Swamiji. Vastavam janya janakan. See, if something is born and again dies, that itself proves that it is not adhyasa. You can't think of adhyasa as beginning and ending. What is beginningless and endless alone can be adhyasa, not this. Adhyasa can only be beginningless and endless. Naisargikoyam vyavaharaha anadyanantaha. Bhashyakara says anadyanantaha. Okay, therefore, nahi vastavam janyatyam janakatvam va anubhavan adhyaso nama bhavati. There can't be adhyasa which begins in time and ends in time. This is the basic rule. Tasmat adhyasasya adimatvam purvadhyasa samskara janyatvam va na yuktimatu. Therefore, adhyasa has a beginning, that it has the samskaras outside adhyasa, and those samskaras produce the adhyasa. All this implies that you are not seeing the world as a whole. You are taking only one aspect of it and not looking at the world as a whole. That's why the mistake happened in their prakriya. Tasmas adhyasasya adimatvam. Adhyasa has a beginning. Okay. Yat punar avidyanasha vyatirekena tat samskaropi apanetavyaha. Anyatha tad vashat punarapi. This is also another mistake. Another mistake of Purvapakshi. Removing adhyasa by knowledge is not enough. Purvapakshi told, you have to remove samskara also. What is that also? If samskara was part of adhyasa, then removal of adhyasa is good enough. Everything will go away. No. First he told samskara is outside adhyasa. Then what is all talking now? All that is waste. Because once you accept the beginning and ending of adhyasa, then it is no more adhyasa. Avidya nasha, other than destroying avidya, its samskara too has to be destroyed. If you have to say, then this is not Advaita. This is not Siddhanta. This is not Prakriya. Anyatha tadvashat punarapa vidyotthana prasangaditi. If samskara is not removed, they will produce adhyasa again. All this, what does it mean? This is what Purvapakshi says. Siddhanti says that you tirgisi going round and round, you are coming to the same point. You are only jugglery of words. You are only shifting the words but retaining the same idea. So it's not acceptable, because vidyayam tat sarvatahi nakshamamahe. We just can't tolerate this. We just can't accept this. Nakshamamahe. Why? Because bhashya viruddhatvat. It is bhashya viruddha, yukti viruddha, ella viruddha. Now let us take few quotations. Okay? Bhashya viruddhatvat. Adhyasa has a beginning and it is produced by samskaras which were outside adhyasa. These 2 points. Adhyasa begins and there existed something before the adhyasa begins. Something existed that has and that has produced adhyasa. Samskara produced. Once you say samskara produced adhyasa, 2 things you are assuming. One is adhyasa has a beginning. Second, that it is produced by some factor which is outside adhyasa. These 2 we don't accept. Both are wrong. See Bhashyakara's quotations. How Bhashyakara says, Vidyayam hi satyam udite savitare sharvaramiva tamaha pranasham upagachyatya vidya. Samskara viddidare adhyasaki. As the knowledge rises, the darkness, as the light, and the light of the light, and the rise of the light, just as darkness is destroyed, similarly, on the rise of knowledge, adhyasa will be destroyed. Tadvashat punarapi avidyotthana prasangaditi chet bhashya viruddhatvat vidyayam hi satyamudde savitari sharvaramiva. So, okay, as the knowledge arises, it doesn't delay. while destroying avidya, knowledge rises. Knowledge rises even while destroying avidya. So, therefore, avidya has no beginning and end. It says clearly. Samskritad utpannaiva atma pratipatti avidyam nivartayati. Even if you think once, it removes misunderstanding. It removes adhyasa instantly. Sakrut utpannaiva atma pratipatti avidyam nivartayati. Sakrut pravritta. Once knowledge arises, that's enough. It removes adhyasa. Brahma vidya samakalameva avidya matra vyavadhana apagamat. Brahma vidya samakalameva avidya. As the Brahma vidya is there alone, Brahma vidya samakalameva avidya matra nivritti. As the knowledge arises, avidya goes away. Like this, there are plenty. Iti asakruduchyate. Like this, ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಷಾಕಾರರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. तो भाष्ये विद्या प्रणाश्यत्वम अविद्याया नही ವಿದ್ಯೆಯಿಂದ ಅವಿದ್ಯೆ ನಾಶವಾಗುತ್ತದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವಿದ್ಯೆಗೆ ಏನೋ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತದೆ ಎಂದು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಬಾರದು. ನಹಿ ಏಕತ್ವ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನೇನ ಉನ್ಮತಿತಸ್ಯ ದ್ವೈತ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಸ್ಯ ಪುನಃ ಸಂಭವಿತಾ ಅಸ್ತಿ. ಒಂದು ಸಲ ಒನ್ಸ್ ದ ದ್ವೈತಮ್ ಇಸ್ ರೆಫ್ಯೂಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ನಾಲೆಜ್, there is no chance for what is killed to rise again. So there is no chance of rising again because you already killed. ब्रह्म विद्या समकालमेव विद्या मात्र व्यवधान अपगमात् इत्यसकृत उच्यते. भाष्ये विद्या प्रणाशत्व अविद्या. ಅದರಿಂದ ವಿದ್ಯಾ can go away only with विद्या प्रणाशत्वम अविद्याय. अविद्या goes away only with knowledge. नहि एकत्व विज्ञानेन. Once the द्वैतम is falsified by knowledge, then Dvaita Vijnanasya Punah, there is no chance for Dvaitam to rise because Dvaitam is falsified. Once it is negated, falsified, no more Dvaitam again. Vidyotpattau avidyayah astat. Swamiji is quoting many vakyas just to convince the stubborn people, but one quotation would be enough. Vidyotpattau avidyayah astatvat. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿಯಾಗುವಾಗ ಅವಿದ್ಯೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ತಾನು ಕುರುಡ ಆಗುವುದರಿಂದ ಇಡೀ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಕುರುಡೆ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊ. ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಇಡೀ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ವಿದ್ಯೋತ್ಪತ್ತೌ ಅವಿದ್ಯಾಯಾಹ ಅಸ್ತತ್ವಾತ್ ತದಾಶ್ರಯೇ ಅವಿದ್ಯಾ ಅನುಪಪತ್ತೇ. ಸಿ, ಎಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ಅವಿದ್ಯಾ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಲಿವ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್. ಪರಮಾರ್ಥ ದರ್ಶನಾತ್ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವಿತ್ ತೃತೀಯಂ ಬೀಜಭಾವಂ ದಗ್ಧ್ವಾ ಆತ್ಮಾನಂ ಪ್ರವಿಷ್ಟ ಇತಿ ನ ಪುನರ್ಜಾಯತೆ ತುರೀಯಸ್ಯ ಬೀಜತ್ವಾತ್. ಮತ್ತೊಂದು, ಪರಮಾರ್ಥವನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗಲೇ ಅಧ್ಯಾಸ ಹೋಗುತ್ತದೆ ಹೊರತು ಅಷ್ಟುವರೆಗೂ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಎಂದು ಕ್ಲಿಯರಾಗೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ದೇರ್ ಫೋರ್ ಪರಮಾರ್ಥ ದರ್ಶನಾತ್ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮವಿತ್ ತೃತೀಯಂ ಬೀಜಭಾವಂ ದಗ್ಧ್ವಾ. ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಬೀಜ he destroys it. He destroys the ಬೀಜಭಾವಂ ದಗ್ಧ್ವಾ atmanam pravishtaha. So when the jnana arises, even the avyakta or maya is also falsified. Falsified means it is just totally destroyed. Maya athava avyakta is also destroyed because that is due to adhyasa. When you correct the adhyasa, then maya or avyakta won't remain. Atmanam pravishta iti na punarjayate turiyasya bijatvat. Nahi रज्जु सर्पयोर विवेके रज्ज्वां प्रविष्टः सर्पः बुद्धि संस्कारात् पुनः पूर्ववत् तद्विवेकेन उत्थास्यति. See, once the snake is understood as a snake, it is not real snake, then it merges into rope and you understand it as a rope. Once you understand it as a rope and the snake is only falsely imagined, then what happens? Sarpo. So with this viveka, once the snake is gone, how can it leave any samskara? That's what is questioning. Sarpaha buddhi samskarat punah purvavat tad vivekina muttasyati. Again it won't rise. Yeah, this sentence is also very interesting. Tasmanna vidyayam satyam avidya sambhavati. Therefore, once jnanam rises, no ignorance has any chance to stay there. Nahi rajya sarpa viveke sati rajvam pravishtaha sarpaha buddhi samskaradinda. It is owing to the samskaras in the mind. Will it arise again? Nahi rajya sarpayor viveke rajvam pravishta sarpa buddhi samskarat punaha purvatad vivekina muttasyati. Idu samskara existing outside can't be accepted. Ultimately, that is the idea. Okay. Tasmanna vidyayam satyam avidya sambhavosti. See, plenty of quotations Swamiji is giving because he wants to convince these people who accept something. Adhyasa is a beginning and it has got a cause. Only to dismiss these two, we have to go a long way, discuss with scholars and do all sorts of things. Vidyapabadita vidyayaha punaruthana shanka nanira. So once with knowledge, adhyasa goes away, it can't come back. Shruti, not only it is bhashya viruddham, so far we have told, iga shruti viruddham. It is opposite to shruti also. Shruti bhahyascha sarvatra hi shrutishu vidyaya vidya nivritti upadishyate. Avidyayaha paramparam tarayasi ityadi. Evam avidya nivritteranantaram sakrit vamshad upasthitihi sadhanantarena chaivam adishu. That's only there. That's a different explanation. It's only this much. Avidya destroys avidya, it can't remain. This is the simple fact you remember, remaining all false into life. Okay, I think we have given a very short session today. We'll stop with this. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.